Hi, boys and girls. It's Miss Larison. I have a great read aloud for you. This one is called Sheila Rae the Brave by Kevin Henkes. And if you know me, you know that Kevin Henkes is one of my favorite authors. I read lots of his books to you guys when you're in school. And he is a great author, and he is the illustrator. That means that he drew the pictures in these books also. So this one is Sheila Rae the Brave. Sheila Rae wasn't afraid of anything. She wasn't afraid of the dark, and she says, well, her sister says, "Are you sleeping, Sheila Rae?" She wasn't afraid of thunder and lightning, and she wasn't afraid of the big black dog at the end of the block. At dinner, Sheila Rae made believe that the cherries in her fruit cocktail were the eyes of dead bears, and she ate 5 of them. At school, Sheila Rae giggled when the principal walked by. And when her classmate Wendell stole her jump rope during recess, Sheila Rae tied him up until the bell rang. "I am very brave," Sheila Rae said, patting herself on the back. Sheila Rae stepped on every crack in the sidewalk without fear. When her sister Louise said there was a monster in the closet, Sheila Rae attacked it. And she rode her bicycle, no-handed, with her eyes closed. "Yeah, yeah, Sheila Rae," her friends yelled, clapping their hands. Now, that's dangerous, so don't do that. One day, Sheila Rae decided to walk home from school a new way. Louise was afraid to. "You're too brave for me," Louise said. "You're always such a scaredy cat," Sheila Rae called. "Am not," whispered Louise. Sheila Rae started off skipping. "I am brave," she sang. "I am fearless." She stepped on every crack. She walked backwards with her eyes closed. Now, if you look closely, you'll see Louise, her sister, following her, and she's hiding. So there's Louise behind the tree. There's Louise behind the fence. There's Louise peeking over the fence. So on every page, see if you can find Louise. She growled at stray dogs. She bared her teeth at stray cats. And she pretended that the trees were evil creatures. She climbed up them and broke their fingers off. Snap, snap, snap. Do you see Louise? I see her. Sheila Rae walked and walked. She turned corners. She crossed streets. It suddenly occurred to Sheila Rae that nothing looked familiar. Familiar means it's something that you've seen before. So nothing that she's seeing, she's ever seen before. So that means she is lost. You can see Louise. Sheila Rae heard frightening noises. They sounded worse than thunder. She thought horrible thoughts. They were worse than anything she had ever imagined. "I am brave," Sheila Rae tried to convince herself. "I am fearless." The sounds became more frightening. The thoughts became more horrible. Sheila Rae sat down on a rock and cried. "Help!" she sniffed. She thought of her mother and father and Louise. "Mother! Father!" she cried. Now look, do you see Louise up in this tree? "Here I am," a voice said. "Louise!" Sheila Rae hugged her sister. "We're lost," Sheila Rae said. "No, we're not," said Louise. "I know the way home. Follow me." Louise stepped on every crack. She walked backwards with her eyes closed. She growled at stray dogs and bared her teeth at stray cats. And she pretended that the trees were evil creatures. She jumped up and broke their fingers off. Snap, snap, snap. Sheila Rae walked quietly behind her. They walked and walked. They crossed the streets. They turned corners. Soon their house could be seen between the trees. Sheila Rae grabbed Louise and dashed up the street. When they reached their own yard and the gate was closed behind them, Sheila Rae said, "Louise, you are brave. You are fearless." "We both are," said Louise, and they walked backwards into the house with their eyes closed. And that was Sheila Rae the Brave. And I love that story because throughout most of the story, Sheila Rae is brave and she doesn't think she needs anybody. And then when she gets lost, she realizes that she's not so brave and maybe she does need help. And that's when her sister jumps in and helps her. So there are times when we do feel brave, but there are times when we need help, and that's okay. That's what your sisters are for, or your brothers, or your parents, or your friends, or your family. That's what they're for. So you don't have to be brave all the time. It's okay to ask for help, just like Sheila Rae. So I hope you enjoyed.